What's up guys, NepentheZ here and welcome back to another FC24 video. Today we have got the pitch notes holiday update. It's the patch notes, the title update that has been very much overdue. I was going to make the state of FC24 video where I typically talk about what I just don't like about the game. And of course, there's lots of things I do like about the game. But there's some overbearing things that are constantly unbalanced in EA Sports video games. And I was going to make that video today, but instead I'm going to talk about the pitch notes, the patch notes, the title update, and then we'll reserve any kind of judgment on the game as a whole now for another few weeks. Usually we've made one or two sort of like state of FIFA videos by now. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be any need to do so, due to the fact that we're about to get some balancing on some certain things, or at least that's the hope anyway. So without further ado, guys, if you're enjoying the content, you want to drop a thumbs up, it would be very much appreciated. Let's have a little look at what EA have to say and give our opinions on it as we go. Hi everyone, the holiday update, tile update number 6 is releasing soon, and we're eager to tell you about the exciting changes and additions to EA Sports FC 24. This update adds 94 player items to Ultimate Team, over 100 new updates and star heads, and it aims to enable players to attack with more creativity, especially through the center of the pitch and near the sidelines. Gameplay updates include and are not limited to. Now, before we read what they're included and not limited to, first of all, attack with more creativity through the center of the pitch sounds beautiful, right? It's been very evident that byline cutbacks and finesse shots from the edge of the box have been the most prominent way to score goals this game, closely followed by whip pass plus into like power header plus. It was a little bit surprising for me that they're enabling players to attack with more creativity near the sidelines, because it feels like this game is built around the sidelines and cutting inside. So I'm interested to understand what they mean when they say that. But the way they're going to do that is by reducing midfield congestion, reduce sideline pressure on attackers, decrease manual goalkeeper movement, speed, and positioning, which is so valuable. More offensive-minded wingbacks in 3 and 5 back formations. So we're going to read through it. So gameplay, more offensive-minded wingbacks. On PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PS only, significantly lowered the track-back speed of the AI teammate wingbacks in 3 and 5 of the back formations. The reason why, in spite of... So I've already read through this a couple of times, these pitch notes, and watched what they have to show. In spite of what they show being the wrong way of doing something like this, what they're actually done is actually smart. Because one of the reasons why 3 back and 5 back were so broken and so overpowered is because you could attack with the fullbacks at no cost, or the like left mid, right mid. You had that left mid, right mid in a 3-back set to stay back or come back on defense, and you had the left wing back and right wing back set to stay back while attacking, and then just use them in an offensive manner. You would lose the ball, and as you see here, the wing back is tracking back intensely to the point where now it's already back in defense. And whilst, when a wing back is here, if you lose the ball in that sort of scenario, in real life, a counter-attack would be initiated very quickly, and this wing-back would really struggle to get back. What they've done by the looks of things, and again, we might be microanalyzing something that doesn't actually translate well in-game, which is why, as I said earlier, we're going to have to wait to see. We're going to give it a few weeks of actually playing this and play testing this to see. But this is now how the wing-backs react. And I think look at how deep the defender is. When we look at each individual one, it's not about what happens to the wingback when they lose the ball. It's about where they are. Like, look how the wingback's already caught up with the attacker now, and he's still 5 yards, 10 yards from the edge of the box. The wingback in the new scenario hasn't caught up with the attacker yet, and he's already in the byline, cutting towards the box. And the reason why this is very valuable, especially if they get other parts of the balancing right, is because you can now look to pass here, you can look to cross, you can drive at the goal, you can go in and do a skill movement and have a shot. There will be more space in the box. And instead of, how many times have we seen this game? You lose possession. By the time you get to the other end of the field, your opponent's already got a line of 5 in defense, a line of 3 on the edge of the box, and 2 strikers. Or if they're playing 4 at the back, 4 and 4 already camped in the box. Hopefully, this will allow a little bit more openness and a little bit more space when attacking, and allow a genuine like fluid transition of game rather than an intense period of pressure and possession looking for one desperate chance and then getting countered because it's a 2-on-2 rather than an actual like flow of the game moving back and forwards. So I like the fact that when the defender gets as similarly close, the attacker is in a just like so much further advanced. It makes perfect sense. It might be too far the other way. Again, we're going to have to play test to see that. The thing I don't like is the way that they've actually enabled this, because obviously pace has nothing to do with it, right? If this is the same speed of a defender in each instance here, which we don't know that it is because they don't share that information, but let's presume that it is. Otherwise, you know, if they're showing like a 30 pace defender tracking back versus a 100 pace defender, obviously there's going to be like a difference there, right? But you're in control of the pace of that defender if you're manually running them back. Maybe the AI is running them back and they slow it down. What I don't like is watch now when this guy loses the ball, that massive stumble, a second to set himself, and then begins his track back. And it's not the same here. And it looks like what they've actually done to kind of change it is add the bigger stumble and add a bigger pause before the player starts running back. And it's one of those weird, like, artificial difficulty adjustments. It's one of those things where it's like, that's all well and good in this area of the field to make this play example work. But if you do that exact same thing, like on the edge of your own box, and then your defender kind of like stumbles around, takes a second to get his bearings, and then starts tracking back, you're just going to be furious with it. So again, I'm going to... that was just my observation anyway. I'm not going to like delve too much into that being a good or a bad thing, because like I say, like we're going to have to figure out how it goes, how it plays once the patch is actually here. But overall, this appears to be, at the very least, a positive change in the way the wingbacks work. Strikers and wide midfielders will tend to be less aggressive when trying to mark central attackers. With these changes, we are looking to promote more tactical variety when attacking through the centre of the pitch. Central areas could have sometimes felt overly congested in the past, making it hard to find passing options. Absolutely true. Players in the midfield and on the wings are now going to mark less aggressively in order to prevent over-congestion in central midfield. We expect these changes to open central areas up for a bit more passing plays and creativity, and we look forward to hearing feedback from the players. It's nice, right? Because, yeah, you've got a few people that say, oh, I play through the middle. Unless you're playing somebody like significantly lower skilled than you, I'm yet to see any player that plays the wings, right? Sorry, plays the middle. It's really hard. Even if you have a narrow formation, you tend to switch between the two fullbacks, drive down that byline, get those cut-ins. Like it's very, very wing play. And obviously EA have experience, like, can see this. They have all the data of how goals are scored, where goals are scored from, how people are playing the game. And that surely they must have just seen like fullbacks just like over and over, because that's all people do in this game. You just switch the play, you switch the play, you switch the play. Your opponent overextends, you drive down the byline, you cut the ball in, you get a tap in, right? So allowing people to play through the middle. And, you know, one of the things that I found personally from my own experience of playing this game with the Arsenal team, because I've got an Arsenal Evo team on the road to glory, is if you have got players that have got really good passing play styles, specifically play style pluses, tiki-taka, incisive pass, ping pass, etc., it's easier for sure to pass through the middle. You know, I played a game just today where I had some of the best players in the game, and the passing was just felt like different. It just felt like a different world for me. And then I went back and played with my Arsenal team where I don't have any good passing play styles other than on Martin Odegaard. And I'm like, yeah, my players just can't even pass. And the reason why they can't pass is because of this aggressive nature and this pressure. It impacts the composure stat is impacted by the fact that as soon as you get the ball, you're hounded. And if you don't have the ball, you're hounded. So it leaves very little option to actually pass the ball. And by reducing that aggressiveness, which is coupled with something else that's coming that I think is brilliant, it should, in theory, allow a more creative game. And it, in my head anyway, it does open up full balance. Like, it allows you to play through the wing, through the middle. Like, it allows you to play multiple different ways in terms of creating goals, because you're not like just pressured intensely from the moment you like have possession. This one was the one that was a bit weird to me. Reduce sideline pressure, significantly reduce the amount of pressure the defensive team can apply to players along the sidelines. The reason why that's a bit surprising is because we, as I've explained already, we've seen an overbearing amount of goals scored from byline cutbacks, and the way to get to the byline is down the side. And you tend to see people kind of like either create a triangle of passes where they'll take like a fullback, pass it inside, send the fullback on a run, from the inside pass the ball to the winger, and then the winger chips it over to the fullback, and the fullback's clear through, goes down the sideline. Now, that is created because of the aggressive pressure. That is created, that chain of play, that chain of like play, whatever, like the play style there is created because when you've got it with your fullback, the pressure is there. So when you make that pass and send that run and get that third pass in, it's like, because the other two players are being so pressed so heavily, you have like the overload of the extra man, right? So the other thing is, like, a lot of people just have the ball with their winger, drive the ball back to their fullback, send the winger on a run, and chip it over the top. And again, that's created by the intense pressure of the AI-controlled defender being so intensely close to the winger that once you trigger that manual run, it gives you that separation and that bit of space to play the ball over the top. So the fact that they're now going to reduce the pressure there makes me feel like it's going to be even easier to just walk down the line. Like last year, one of the ways that I actually created a lot of goals was getting the ball with a fullback or a winger and just left stick dribbling down the line, but not left stick dribbling crazy left, right, like turning around or anything like that, literally just walking, and people would just overcommit. They'd bite, you'd be able to turn inside or maybe hit a pass if it needs to be. What I think, based on what they've said here, what I think they're trying to do is to actually allow passing instead of creating this sort of like forced nature of playing it over the top down the wing. It seems like they're trying to allow passing inside and more central again from this, because they say when players had the ball along the sidelines, there could sometimes have been an excessive amount of pressure applied to them by the defensive team using a high line, aka 71 depth. So we have significantly reduced the amount of pressure the defensive team will apply in these situations, giving some more space for attackers to get out of tricky situations with additional passing options. So it seems like the idea is here to allow more passing. And the reason why EA want to allow more passing is, again, because of the way this game is played right now. It is a lot of R1 dribbling or extremely long balls, and it's not nothing to do with central passing, but actually passing in this game just doesn't really happen very often, right? And if it does happen, it's like a ball roll driven pass into the center, or it's a one or two quick interchange passes and then another R1 dribble or a big long ball over the top. And there's very little actual game control in terms of being able to pass the ball successfully. So although I'm not sure that decreasing the pressure on the sideline is the ultimate answer, it does feel like what they're trying to work into this is just more play centrally and more passing options, which is great. Decreased goalkeeper movement and positioning speed. So for me personally, before we read this and give our opinion on this, for me personally, goalkeeper movement just needs to be done away with, right? It's the one thing, and maybe that will change based on the other changes in this patch, but over the course of years in this game, since it got introduced, it's the one thing that I've always hated. Now, we all use it and we all abuse it to our advantage because it's in the game, so you're going to use it when it's there, right? But there is nothing worse than outplaying your opponent, passing around their press, doing skill moves around their defenders, managing to create some space after some really intense midfield battle, or having the possession for a good period of time and finally creating that space and an opening for a shot for your opponent to just press the right thumbstick in and move the keeper slightly to the side and be like, well, all that hard work that I had to do has just been undone by a thoughtless piece of movement from the goalkeeper. I think goalkeeper movement should be done away with, and instead goalkeeper AI sense and sensibility should be improved, right? That would be the best balance for me. However, We have what we have. And what they've done is reduce the movement speed of goalkeepers when using the move the goalkeeper input. Additionally, goalkeepers will now hold their final position for a short time before returning to their normal position. Being able to manually move your goalkeeper into the right positions can have a major impact on saving incoming shots when performed successfully. When moved manually, goalkeepers will run back to their original position immediately after releasing the input request, making it harder than intended for attackers to capitalize on these mistakes. Which is fair. The other thing that's interesting for me about goalkeepers and goalkeeper movement, because we're going to talk about finesse shots and finesse shot pluses in a moment, is if you've angled your body for a finesse shot, let's say you've got Heung-min Son who's got finesse shot plus, and you know what's coming with that finesse shot, so you move your keeper all the way over to the far side of the goal. You save that shot. As well you should, because you have moved your goalkeeper. In spite of whether I like the mechanic or not, you should save that shot because you've moved your goalkeeper. The concern for me comes from the fact that when you manually move a goalkeeper, it actually, and we can't prove this, but like you only have to play against somebody who moves their goalkeeper a lot to know that this is the truth. When somebody manually moves their goalkeeper, it influences the accuracy of the shot from the shot taker in spite of where they shoot. And what I mean by that is, like, if I shape for a finesse shot to the far post and you move your keeper to the far post and then I hit a shot to the near post, guess where the ball goes? Middle of the goal. Why does the ball go there? You get some weird shot accuracy decrease and the goalkeeper still makes a save. It's very similar when somebody puts a ball on the line. The shot tends to gravitate to the person on the line for no particular reason. And unless EA kind of like test this internally and look at the way shot accuracy is managed when goalkeeper movement is introduced, we will never have a genuine conclusion of, oh yeah, actually you was right, that is something that's broken in the game that wasn't intended, and we're going to fix that. Because that should be another thing to do with like the goalkeeper movement, is if I see my opponent move his goalkeeper, and I take a shot to the other side of the goal, I should just be rewarded with that. And that has nothing to do, in my personal opinion, of the speed with which the goalkeeper has moved away or moves back, and everything to do, not nothing to do with and everything to do with, but, a large part to do with the fact that my shot accuracy gets reduced for having the shot. Now, it's a bit different in one-on-one situations and certain positions where you've just got like a really good shot that would probably go in even if the goalkeeper wasn't moved or whatever. But that's how I feel on goalkeeper movement. In this update, the goalkeeper manual movement has been slightly decreased, and goalkeepers will take a moment before returning to their original position after being moved. We're looking to ensure that players who excel at reading the game can be rewarded for their efforts when outwitting their opposition's goalkeeper movement. Here's an example of goalkeeper movement before the holiday update, and then we've got the goalkeeper movement after the holiday update. So before the update, goalkeeper comes out here very quickly, gets to the penalty spot reasonably quickly, gets back reasonably quickly, moves across quite quickly, and instantly sprints back. Then with the goalkeeper update after the fact, let's see it from the beginning. So it comes out and then comes forwards. You can see straight away that's a lot slower to get there, which is good. And yeah, I like that pause. I like that pause of him going back. It's going to allow for chip shots to be better. That pause there is going to leave the space. I like that. I'm a big fan of that. As I say, like we've got to work with what we've got. So there's no point complaining about a mechanic in the game that we don't want if it's in the game. And so it does feel like that's a lot better. And hopefully it will stop people from just mindlessly moving their keeper and being bailed out by the kind of like insta return spot from it. But yeah, that's a positive update. I like that one. And then we've also got Finesse and Finesse Plus playstyle adjustments. So I was talking to editor Josh about this yesterday, or rather he was talking to me about this, and he said he wonders if we haven't seen a balancing of Finesse Shot and Finesse Shot Plus, specifically Finesse Shot Plus yet, because for the first time ever in an FC24/FIFA game, it's individual players that are impacted by game balancing. And so you're now going to have Player of the Month Son, Player of the Month Salah, Player of the Month Griezmann, really expensive cards that people have put a lot of money into, not be anywhere near as valuable because they are nerfing Finesse Shot Plus, right? And it's the right thing to do for the balance of the game, but a lot of people have invested a lot of coins, energy, time, and fodder into players for the sole purpose that they had Finesse Shot Plus. And so by nerfing that, you are removing the actual value of that player. But what they say is, slightly reduced finesse shot accuracy when performed by players with finesse and finesse plus play styles. With this update, we've adjusted the shot accuracy by players with the Finesse and Finesse Plus playstyles as they were more effective than intended, resulting in an excessive amount of goals with this type of shot. Our intent with this change is to reduce the number of inauthentic goals scored from players with Finesse and Finesse Plus playstyles. And what I read by that, what I interpret by that, is like the kind of like you've got your back to goal, maybe like a 30, 45 degree angle to goal, and you can just hit finesse shot from there, and the Son or Griezmann or whoever it'll be will just bang, top bins. And it doesn't even finesse. And that's the thing that got me with the Finesse Shot Plus, is sometimes it's like a laser. Sometimes it's just straight. If you hit like the angle correctly, it just goes straight to the top. It doesn't curve. And I think the way, I think anyway, the way the Finesse Shot Plus is intended is when you have got it at the top of the box and you finesse it kind of like over the keeper and curve that arc into the top corner, rather than just being in a position where you can be in anywhere within like 35 to 40 yards of the box. And so long as you're not getting closed down and blocked by a player, the finesse shot has a high chance of going extreme top bins. So this is going to be a good one to see. I hope the nerf is, it says like slightly reduced it. I hope the nerf is significant enough so that you can feel a genuine difference with a regular Finesse Shot and Finesse Shot Plus. But I also think that if you can green time that Finesse Shot Plus, I still think it should have a very similar output to what it does now, because green timing is another layer of skill that's added and should be like valued in that regard. But we'll have to see how that one comes through. Now there's two more here that they had for us, and one of them is just the best thing in the world. I actually think this is more valuable than the Finesse Shot Plus reduction, right? More authentic controlled sprint speed, which is the RB sprint dribble. Slightly reduce the top speed of players when using controlled sprint. Our intent with this change is to bring the top speed of controlled sprint closer to more authentic real-world player movement. This change does not prevent players who excel at exploiting space with their controller sprint from doing that, but we anticipate that this slight top speed reduction can result in a more authentic match flow. And the reason why they had to nerf RB dribble is because it was just way too easy to sprint at like 95% capacity with the ball glued to your foot and just weaved in. It made defending ridiculously hard, especially if you're using like a heavier defender. And again, I come back to my own experience where I'm using like Saliba and Jakob Kivior Evoed cards. It's an 83 rated and an 85 rated centre back. If somebody had like somebody with really high dribbling and high pace and then just held R1 and like dribbled at me, I just could not get to them. It was just really, really, really hard. And so the other reason why I think the controlled sprint being nerfed is massive is because it should, in theory, greatly reduce the number of cutback goals. Because the way a lot of cutback goals were scored is by getting to that byline and then RB dribbling around the defender because it was so easy. Because of the way the AI defense sets up in a defensive manner, you only had to get around that first defender, whatever. If let's say you're attacking down the right-hand side, you only had to get back to pass that left back, and now you've got cutback galores, right? And so I think by reducing the RB sprint boost, rightfully so, because it's just you see very few people in a footballing sense that actually dribble at a high speed with the ball that close to their feet. You know, there's maybe like 10 that are exceptional at it in world football right now, but there's like 10,000 in the game that you just spam R1 and happy days. It should still be effective. It's still an effective thing in football. It still works in the real world. It should be effective. It just shouldn't be as effective as it is. And so, yeah, I think this change is like, again, coupled with the other changes they've made, should stop cutbacks, should stop finesse shot abuse, should stop just byline abuse in general and 5-back, 3-back situations where people are just looking to counter. And then the last one that we've got here, which actually surprised me a little bit, if I'm being perfectly honest, is power header and power header plus playstyle adjustments. Significantly reduced header shot accuracy when performed with players with power header and power header plus. Significantly reduced. The reason why that's quite surprising to me is because, first of all, heading is manual, which means they're reducing manual shot accuracy, which doesn't sound too smart. But it says players with the power header and power header plus playstyles were more effective than intended in the air, resulting in an inauthentic amount of goals scored. With this change, players with these playstyles will still be more effective than their counterparts without them, but with the more lifelike results we see in real world football. What's really, really interesting to me about this particular piece here is, although I believe that crossing and heading is a genuine, strong way to score in this game, I also think it's one of the strongest ways you score in real life. And I didn't mind it at all. If somebody whips a cross in, and obviously whipped pass plus is also another reason why power header and power plus was so significantly overpowered, is because of the crosser of the ball, not necessarily the header of the ball. But I don't think I've ever experienced a time in FC24 where I've thought, Jesus, they really need to nerf power header and power header plus. I just don't think so. The only thing that I can think of that has caused this to be reduced has nothing to do with the general flow of how a game is played and how people use power header and power header plus, and everything to do with players scoring from corners, because it was ridiculously easy to score from corners. And instead of them coding or changing or adapting or balancing the way players at corners behave, it's just easier for them to just nerf the thing that people are scoring from, right? So again, we'll have to see how that develops in game, in the actual game sitting. But these are big changes from EA. These are big changes. We get pitch notes and patch updates and title updates quite a lot. I don't think we've ever had something that's so intensely focused on the core broken mechanics of the game. And so it's really positive to see that EA have obviously sat back and taken a lot of data and seen a lot of the issues within the game and a lot of the complaints from the community and thought, yeah, what do people complain about? Corners? Boom, fix that. Byline cutback and the RB sprint dribble? Boom, fix that. Not being able to play through the center? Boom, fix that. Finesse shots being too broken? Boom, fix that. Now, whilst that is great, genuinely great, I just think that when this patch comes in, first of all, a balancing patch after this should be due as well, because if they've gone too far the other way with something or not far enough with something, I don't think it should take 2 months or 3 months before we see a balance on that. I think it should be relatively quickly. But also, I would like to see EA just stand up and be accounted for when it comes to whatever the new thing is that's going to become unbalanced because of this. Don't just leave us like they did last year. Where I can't remember what it was last year, but they patched this game last year a few times, and then there was still an unbalanced mechanic, and they just left that one. I hope that by balancing all of these things and exposing new unbalanced mechanics that are going to come into the game, they don't just say well, we fixed what you complained about the first time, so it's okay. I hope they continue to evolve and work on this game and get it to a point where it's actually enjoyable to play, which might be after this patch. Now, the other thing that they did give us is Ultimate Team and more. We will strive to bring much authenticity to our game mode as possible, and our holiday update brings player items, additions, and Starhead updates so that more players can experience EA FC24 with their favourites. And we've got new player items in Ultimate Team, so they're adding 94 players into the game, including Santi Cazorla, Adama Traore, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Sergio Ramos is finally getting into the game as well. And to further highlight the holiday update change, they're going to give us 2 SBCs, which include Player Moments Adama Traore and Radioactive Ismail Benacer. And then we're getting more Starheads as well, which is real cool, and then a refreshed main menu and the new Diogo Jota celebration. So lots of positive thoughts, and I really don't want to be negative about these changes because I think they're significant and I think they're going to be impactful, and I really hope, as somebody who's played probably about 1,200 to 1,400 games of this game already this year, more than I've ever played in this period of time in any other FIFA in the history of FIFA. I've played this game more than ever before. I genuinely hate the gameplay. I think it's the worst game we've had. And the reason why I've played it more than ever before is because of evolutions, right? I really hope that this brings some enjoyment back to playing the game, because even though I'll always find something to complain about, because as human beings, we strive for perfection, and anything less than perfect, instead of seeing the good, or at least me personally anyway, instead of seeing the good, I'll always be like, oh, that's good, but, this could be better. It would be nice to be able to play this game and just feel like it's a balanced experience rather than the current situation where we go into the game and you just immediately know your opponent's going to have Blanc and Van Dijk, Salah, Griezmann and Son. They're going to be playing 3 at the back or 5 at the back most likely. They're going to abuse byline cutbacks and finesse shots from the top of the box, and it is every game, coupled with the 71 press and how they've, without even really explaining it properly, explained how passing is terrible because of 71 press, coupled with them balancing that as well. I've got really high hopes for what this patch could bring, and it honestly could save the state of the game this year. And we can only hope. I'm looking forward to the patch. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace.